Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to say a few words on the occasion of this annual conference of the Global Diplomatic Forum. The impact of the economic and financial situation in Europe figures prominently on your program. It is normal. To punch our full weight on the global stage, our first priority is to overcome the difficulties our economies face at home. All of them. Influence on world affairs depends more on economic weight than on military power. Questions like, how can we use trade to boost growth? How can we speed up the recovery of the world economy? How can we reform the global financial system? These have become central themes in meetings with partner countries, be it in China, India, or the United States. Every foreign relations expert has to be a top economist these days. But it doesn't stop there, far from it. From Mali to Lima, from Kosovo to Korea, European countries are still very much engaged on international issues. They do so more and more as a club. After all, their diplomacies have been working together for over 40 years, so it's normal that by now cooperation has become something of a reflex that common diplomatic service can work on. Of course, Europeans don't agree all the time on every issue, but the fact is that today, even on difficult issues like Iran and on interventions in Libya and Mali, our 27 countries very easily find shared positions, often within hours. And together they also run 15 European crisis missions on 3 continents. We are the biggest development aid donor in the world, the biggest contributor on climate change. The Union is playing its role as a global actor. The EU is, by the way, a member of the G20 and G8. The European Council regularly discusses foreign policy issues. We remain very active in our neighborhood, and in that respect, the High Representative recently brokered an historic agreement between Belgrade and Pristina. The financial and economic crisis, challenging as it may be, does not stop that. If anything, it's forcing us to reconsider even more carefully how we do things, how we can work more closely together, to stay engaged on the global issues that matter most to our countries and our citizens. For instance, on security and defense, an issue you'll be discussing later today. Cuts in defense spending are not new, but with the crisis, they've accelerated and become even more uncoordinated. As individual countries, as a family of countries, we can't afford security gaps. So if we must do better with less, then we need to work closer together. What is at stake is the ability of Europeans to ensure their security, to defend the values we stand for in the world. Here we also have a special responsibility for our neighborhood. And our common security strategy says it well. Even in an era of globalization, geography is still important. It's essential to discuss this strategically among European leaders. And that's why I arranged for a dedicated meeting of the European Council on Defense in December. I encourage you to feed the results of your reflections today in the collective thinking currently taking place between all countries on these questions. And I wish you a fruitful conference.